Honestly, sometimes I think people confuse overthinking with actually thinking and making smart decisions.
Go ahead with it. Tell us about it. Welcome to the NOTI Lounge, NOTI, not overthinking it, where we talk to entrepreneurs, individuals that's in the business in the world of making things happen. And one thing they don't do is overthink it. They may have done it at one time, but they're not overthinking it. So today we're here with Aireka Harvell.
Hey.
Right?
Right. Did I overthink that?
Yeah, you sure did. Because you almost made me overthink your name. And it's Aireka. You know, right?
Don't be like everybody else calling me Eureka.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah. So we're here with Aireka Harvell from Nodat, Nashville. But first of all, we got to give a shout out to Relationary Marketing.
Yes, Clark.
To my boy Clark Buckner back here behind us, letting us use his spot. Now, Blessing, make sure you don't... Blessing our cameraman today, which is Aireka's son. And she gonna tell us the whole story why his name is Blessing.
Yeah, it's an amazing story. But first, I want to say that Clark Can I
do it?
Clark?
Can I do it first?
Sure, go ahead.
Clark is blessing us, the NOTI Lounge folk, to use his nice studio. At first, it was nice and lights were very low. You can take a nap, feel good. But we had to turn the lights on so they can see me. Yeah. A little dark. But go ahead and tell us about Clark.
No, I was going to say Clark is awesome. He is a fellow in-flighter, and he's grown to be a great friend of mine. So
look at that. Well, first of all, we're going to find out what in-flighter is because we're at the Entrepreneur Center here at downtown Nashville. Doing it big. I remember seeing this place when it first started out at another location downtown. Yeah. And now it's done flourished to what it is now. And the in-flight, tell us about the in-flight.
So in-flight is a 12-month accelerator that Clark and I are both in for our companies. And there's about 18 local entrepreneurs here who are being fed by experienced entrepreneurs.
Fed?
Yes. They're feeding us with their knowledge, helping us grow off of their experiences.
Ooh. Which we're doing today on the show.
Yeah.
Trying to make it, but look how this mic sounds so crispy and clear. And as my boy Clark said, buttery smooth. I feel good. I feel like I'm in an actual studio.
Yeah, you are.
I am. I'm at Revolutionary Marketing in his studio. So I want to shout out to them and also shout out to Entrepreneur Center for having us here today. So, like I said, we're here with Nodat Nashville, the visionary. Blessing the one that told you about, hey, mama, tell me about the water park? What was the whole story about Nodat Nashville?
That was my older son. But so I have to correct this because somebody texted me earlier today and was like, hey, you need to put Nashville next to your name on this press release. And I'm like, my company is Nodat. Nodat Nashville is my social media handles because that's just the city that we're in right now. And as we move into other markets, we'll have other social media pages that'll be for Nodat New York, Nodat Memphis. But my company is just Nodat.
Ooh, gosh. He put us on straight street on that one.
Look, branding. Gotta be branding.
It's Nodat. But then we're going to be Nodat Chicago, Nodat LA, Nodat Miami, Nodat Paris,
Vegas.
Nodat Vegas.
Yeah. So all of those cities actually are already in the app right now. So there's 15 cities in the app, but we're just focusing on Nashville right now. This is where we are being born, learning our lessons, getting our strategies together. So before we move into the other markets, but there are businesses on the app in those other cities right now.
You know, you look so CEO-ish right now. You look so much like a CEO right now, Bless. Don't you like a CEO? And you know when you hit the table, I can put bass in it.
Really? Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's all, it's all good.
Is my jewelry okay?
No, the jewelry's fine.
Oh, okay.
Blinging is fine.
No, I'm just saying, I didn't know if the jewelry was hitting the table.
No.
Okay.
See, look here. You hear that?
Okay.
You hear that bass like we had to, I'm from the street, so when I used to hear that bass come up, something else. But look, tell us about your story. Now, we talked about this before on something previously. One thing we know that Aireka's not afraid to tell her story, and the story is important.
Yes.
So, real quick, tell us about the Nodat and tell about the time when you were overthinking it, when you didn't do nothing. Because I do know you personally, and you can't overthink some things at a time.
Yeah. Honestly, sometimes I think people confuse overthinking with actually thinking and making smart decisions.
Go ahead with it. Tell us about it.
Just simply because, I do share my story a lot. And there was, some things that, as an entrepreneur, as I grow, that I have experienced. And I kind of ask, well, when is the right time to share those experiences? Some things you have to keep, to yourself because it can detour people who may want to invest in your business or want to join your team. Oh. So some things you need to keep to yourself.
You sound so like a freaking CEO. You sound like you've been, entrepreneurship doing their thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because, my mama told me back in the day, you just can't tell everybody everything.
Right.
Because I don't mind. I'm like an open book. I tell you everything. And she said, sometimes you just need to keep some things to yourself.
Yeah, because you may have somebody who is working on a similar product, right? Or may have the same idea that you have. And if you're constantly out there telling everybody what you're working on, next thing you know, somebody's going to have the same thing.
They got show that instead of know that. Next thing you know, same thing.
And what makes you unique is not unique anymore.
So tell us about the brand Know That then. When you first came up about it, your son came home and told you what? Because you already corrected us about, hey, let me let you know we're in the city of Nashville. So tell us about Know That then.
So Nodat is basically a engagement platform designed to help local businesses connect with their customers all in one place. Mm-hmm. And it helps them cut down on customer acquisition costs and focus more on gaining repeat revenue from their existing customers. Mm-hmm. The reason why Nodat was born is just basically because I had no idea about any local businesses in Nashville, just a few that I frequented a lot with my kids. And so my son, who was 14 at the time.
Which would mainly be the grocery store.
Mainly the grocery store and
kids.
Chuck E. Cheese.
Chuck E. Cheese, all that stuff.
Yeah. And the movies.
Bless it, like, I don't eat Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah. He's outgrown and he's almost
grown
11 now.
Look at that.
Yeah. But so that was in September. My son, who was 14, he's almost 17 now, he came to me and he said, hey, did you know that there was a water park opened in Murfreesboro? And I told him that I had not heard about it. And I asked him, how did he hear about it? And he said that his friends were talking about it on Snapchat. And he was upset because it was the last day of the summer. Yeah, because it was the last day of the summer. He was like, man, we didn't even get to go. And I was thinking to myself, like, man, this is crazy. This water park has been open all summer, and nobody has said anything about it on Facebook. Like,
you match your Facebook friends. Because they ain't say nothing.
Hey,
why y'all didn't tell me?
Right. Isn't that where everybody get their news and commercials
Facebook, YouTube, whatever. Yeah, all that.
Yeah, but mainly Facebook, right? And so I felt like I've seen enough pictures of people's food over the summer, and, no one said anything about this water park. So when I started asking around about it, everybody was like, yeah, it's called Borough Beach. And I'm like, what? Like, y'all kept this good secret to yourselves all summer long? But yeah, so that's where it came from. I started thinking, how do we get more people to share their experiences when they're having a good time? Mm-hmm. Because most of the time, when people go to social media and talk about a business, it's if they're mad, right? They want to complain about something.
Yeah, quickly.
Yeah. And they'll write a whole paragraph about that.
We remember the negative more than the positive.
Yeah. And so I started thinking, like, okay, how do we get more people to, talk great about businesses? Encourage them to do it more often. Mm-hmm. And so we came up with the idea of Nodat. I basically told my son, I said, man, we need to create an app that says, hey, did you know that this business has a 50% off coupon this week? Or,
He said, hey, did you know that? Then when did it come to say, the light click on and say, know that?
It was actually in December. I had been writing down what I wanted to do. I researched, went to guru.com and found developers in India. And so we kind of talked back and forth for a couple of months. And I was just writing in this book that I keep with me, I was writing the names down, and I wrote it, regular, know that, and just kept playing around with it. And then I would say about midnight one night, as I'm writing in this book, I just spelled it the Ebonics way. Yeah,
I'm waiting on. Look, I want to get to that because I wanted to. We'll save it. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's straight Ebonics.
Oh yeah,
but it has a catch, right? And so because it's one word instead of two, it has more the ability to be turned into an actual word, kind of like Google, right?
Right.
So you tell everybody, do a Google search. Mm-hmm. Hey,
go to Know That.
Go to Know That. Do a Know That.
Did you know? Yeah.
Did you know that before you go?
At you.
So yeah.
But you being black, I'm just gonna keep it what it is. An African American, whatever.
Yeah.
But being black in regards to, we're always trying to do things perfect. Mm-hmm. So we don't spell it the wrong way.
Right.
And we don't do it that way. Oh, you did it. Ooh, they're gonna know you black. But you look at Know That, nobody knows that.
Yeah.
That it's a black company like that. But in general, tell us about, what did you go through?
You want to know something funny, and you're probably going to be so surprised. It was actually the black people who acted as if there was a problem with the name.
I know that. That's what I'm saying. The struggles and stuff you go through.
Yeah.
as an entrepreneur in general, you try and come up with a new idea, because I'm quite sure when Google came about it, what the heck is a goddamn Google?
Google's name was something else wilder than Google before it even changed to Google.
Yeah. Or just like the Facebook before they dropped the the. Mm-hmm. But I'm just saying, the challenge you're going to be faced when the challenge you face with family members, friends saying, ooh, girl,
I think the biggest challenge I have is people wanting to make it 2 words, and they'll do no and then dat.
THAD? T-H-A-T?
No, they spell it N-O.
But I'm talking about the problems you may have faced when you had the DAT.
I didn't have any problems
with
that.
Nobody said, you just said when it's about the, people you had. Tell me.
No, I didn't have any problems with that, other than, like I said, it was mostly, non-minorities who would say, oh my God, I love that name.
Of course,
I would download it just because of the name. But then you have, the African Americans who said, why did you name it that?
That's what I'm talking about, yeah. The challenge. You never faced no challenge with that? I mean, other
than that question being asked.
But what did they say after that? Like, girl, I don't know about that.
No, they tried to act like they couldn't pronounce it.
Look at your face. Even did the...
Yeah, it was Nodat. No, what is this? Nodat. And I'm like, you have hashtag this before, just period, before it was even my business's name. But I mean, I didn't really, dawned on that. But I mean, I can't say that the name has caused me any strife.
I had a company called Word of Mouth.
Word of Mouth?
Yeah, because I named it that because I tried to go to domain to put Word of Mouth, Word of Mouth, and it was taken. So I said, let me change it. And I said, let me put Word of Mouth. I'm from the South. Yeah. So I said, let me put Word of Mouth. But the thing is, the challenge I was faced with was my folks, my friends, people like, man, why you do it like that? Ooh, I don't know about that. Yeah. But then everyone else was like, oh, that's tight. I like that. It was pretty cool. Nice idea.
Yeah. Well, I think, so one of the things that a SCORE mentor told me when I first started, I was taking classes at the SBA on the weekends, and he told me to walk around downtown and kind of do a name test. And that's what I did. And so I just walked up to random people and asked them what they thought of the name. And if I explained to you what my app was about, could you see, where that name comes in? And I mean, it passed. We rarely had anyone said, no, I don't get it. And then so like when I tell them the hashtag, hey, did you know that? Or, what's about, they're like, oh my gosh, that is phenomenal. And so I think it just takes, it's going to take not a lot of marketing, but it's going to take marketing for it to catch on. But when I tell people about it, I mean, they automatically
it's just like everything.
Get it, yeah.
More marketing is in your face, the more they be like, oh, you didn't know that already?
Yeah.
You didn't know that already, period?
Like, hey, you should have known. You should have.
But before you got to that point, though, Eric, I mean, your story is tremendous. I've heard it. If you drop a line for your book. I'm trying to sound like Charlamagne. Drop a one of Clues bomb for that. But drop a line for your book. Your first one, because you got another one you're coming out with.
You just know this like out the top of your head, right? No, I am working on another book.
Oh, I was just speaking into the atmosphere, but it already came. There it is.
I'm actually writing 2. But anyway, so no, the book that I launched last year is called Find the Beauty in Your Now. And that book basically talks about my transition from being this young lady who didn't know. Is this the
time where you're trying to figure out what words to say and what to do so nobody don't mess up your investments and all that stuff? No. Is this the time you're doing it?
No.
Okay.
I'm trying to be politically correct.
Yeah. When you start becoming big time like you, it comes a point where you got to be like,
I'm not
watch
a big
stuff.
timer.
Girl, you don't know. I've been seeing Nodat. I've been seeing the advertisement on Facebook and everything else. That's why I had to get you now before you become out of the atmosphere and I can't get you.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
No, the book, the reason why I was kind of like stuttering is because it is a real sensitive time in my life. We talked about that. It was me moving from being this fragile young girl who didn't understand her worth, was afraid to take chances.
Who didn't know she was pretty?
Yeah,
that's weird.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Have you ever seen Aireka in person? I mean, so you didn't believe that. You didn't see that.
I didn't see it at all.
And we're not gonna get into the deep details on this, because I want them to actually buy your book and listen to it or look at it. Is it on audio yet?
No,
you got to work on that then, because now we got Clark, and Clark can actually record it for you. But
Clark,
it's a deep story.
Recruit you to do some Audible.
No, but hey, because that's more income for Clark too, and income for you. But your story is so tremendous to me. That's why I actually wanted to talk to you again, because I like talking to you. But you've been through some hell.
Yeah.
And back. And hell again.
Yeah.
And back. The story with your daddy was deep. The story about your life in general.
Yeah.
In the hotel room.
Yeah.
It's deep, Aireka.
Yeah. I was thinking about all of that this morning. There's a lot that I've gone through in my life just from being a teenager to now. And I've shared this with, some people at the Entrepreneur Center, and I'm not ashamed with it. It's in my book. When I was 14 years old, I was on drugs. I had, ran away from home when I was 14, and I didn't go back. I actually, when I'm about 18 years old, I would go home and visit, but I have not lived up under my parents' roof since I was 14. And it took all the way until I was about, I would say, I think I was like 18 or 19 years old. I was in a hotel room with my ex-husband, who is my ex-husband now, and prayed and asked God to take the taste out of my mouth. And I flushed it down the toilet, and I haven't wanted it since. I asked him if I flushed this down the toilet to take the taste out of my mouth and to not let me ever want it again. And from that day forward, I have never touched it.
We talking about drugs?
Never touched it, never wanted it. And
we talking about the hard stuff, or we talking about?
No, cocaine.
That's hard stuff. I mean, what hard? How much harder can you get? I mean, this ain't Jolly Ranchers or nothing.
Yeah.
But that's deep.
And I share that story just simply because I know that there are people who have gone that route and they feel ashamed. Like I said, I talk about it in my book. My mother stood up at church one day at my dad's pastoral anniversary, and
that's a whole nother story.
Oh man, I was so mad at her. She stood up at church and she was like, "I want to thank God for saving my daughter from crack," and I was like, "I was not on crack."
Crack is whack.
Yes. But I was like, I was mad at her.
Yeah.
But like I talked to her afterwards, and she said, you have to be able to give God the glory and, talk about where he brought you from so that it can help somebody else. For a long time, I was ashamed of that road that I took when I was a teenager, a young adult. And now I talk about it openly, just simply because I want other young kids who may have strayed when they were young, thought they were grown, and made some bad decisions, to let them know that doesn't have to be your life. Just because you made one bad decision doesn't mean that you have to continue on that path. You can get it straight, and you can go to college. You can be a mother, a father. You can be a business owner. You can be a speaker. That does not have to be your life. The important thing is not the fact that you did it. The important thing is the fact that you realize that that's something that needs to be fixed, and that you can, and that you actually do it.
But I mean, that's stories are powerful. Everyone has a story to tell. That's why I believe everyone should write a book, because no one would know about you. It's just like when you was in high school, they write that on the wall to say, "I was here."
Yeah,
that's one thing that book would be. It would say, "I was here."
You know what is so funny?
What's so funny? I want to laugh about it.
Well, not bad. Literally, seriously.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, I was on Facebook and looking at everybody's stories. And when it got to, how it just goes down the line. And then once you look at a couple of stories, it gets to your page. So I'm not one that shares stories a lot. Most of my content I post on my actual pages. So when it got to my page, it said, "What's your story?" And my story was blank. And I was thinking to myself, like, have I really opened up and started allowing people to see what's in me, like to really understand my story? I've told bits and pieces of my story. There are some things that I've held to myself and asked God, okay, when is the right time for me to start sharing, this other stuff? But I was thinking yesterday, and I looked in the mirror and I said, Aireka, what is your story? And as of right now, the story that I'm living is that I am a single mother. I was told that I could not have kids. Let's go back. This is why.
Let's go back to the kids.
Blessing. Yeah, I was told that I could not have kids. When I was 18, I had cervical cancer, and they had to cut my cervix in half, and they had to cut more than half of my cervix to get the cancer out. And
you don't had cancer?
I had cervical cancer. One doctor said this was thyroid cancer, and another doctor said it was Hashimoto's, but I had to have half of my thyroid removed. I've had 13 surgeries.
Jeez. I mean, that's something new today. Blake, are you recording this? Clark, you recording this? Jeez.
But yeah, so when I got before I got married, we were trying to have kids, and the doctor told me that it was impossible. Said if I got pregnant, that the baby would just fall right out, and that I would need a cerclage to keep it in. And he said the cerclage would cause me to miscarry just simply because I didn't have enough cervix.
How many kids you got?
I have 4.
You have 4 kids that came out of you, and they're supposed to fell out. They didn't fall out.
They didn't fall out. They would not. My first son wouldn't even come through the birth canal. They were shocked because, like, I literally had to have a cesarean. He got stuck in the birth canal. He came out with a cone head.
Oh, so they had to press it down. Is it still a cone head now?
No, I had to shape his head.
They had to shape his head up.
Yeah. And then with Blessing, he was my last child.
Who's here with us right now? Who's our cameraman for both phones?
Yeah.
Blessing, we still good on this camera up there? All right, good.
With him, I was 3 months pregnant and I had some internal bleeding. And the doctors did exploratory surgery to find out where the bleeding was coming from. And they accidentally cut my intestines when they stuck the trocar in. And so I had to have an intestinal.
What was that like? What was that like in the room? They said, "Oh, like what's wrong?" Right. I mean, you were asleep,
I was knocked out. But when I woke up, it was the most horrific pain I had ever felt. Like still coming out of anesthesia, they're rolling me out of the operating room. It was so much pain, and I remember the nurse like climbing on top of me to hold me down. And she's like, "Miss Harvell, the surgery that you've had is worse than a cesarean. You lost your baby." And I woke up.
Was this a dream or was this real life?
No, this is real life. I was in the hospital for 3 days on oxygen. But after they told me that, I went back to sleep. And I remember just like crying in pain. And I went back to sleep. When I woke up in the hospital a day later, I was still on oxygen. And they reconfirmed that I had lost my baby.
This guy is right here.
Yeah. And so 3 days later, I can remember being on the oxygen.
On the 3rd day. Is this like a little baby Jesus or something? This guy?
No. Well, no. He's Blessing. But so I remember laying there in the hospital bed with oxygen and I just tears coming down my eyes. And I said one thing. I said, "God, please give me my baby back." And I fell back asleep. So 3 days later, the doctor comes in and he sits next to my hospital bed and he puts his leg up on his knee, like up on his leg, and he starts rubbing his chin and he goes, "I'm baffled." And I said, "What?" Because I thought he was about to tell me that the cancer was back. And I said, "What?" I was like, "Is the cancer back?" And he was like, "No." He said, "You're still pregnant." And he said, "I don't understand." He said, "Normally..."
Hold on, was the baby not in there? I mean, what was he lost in there? I mean, what was
I have no idea where Blessing was. But the doctor, started telling me that normally when a woman, loses a baby, her hormones rapidly decrease. And he said, "Yours are rapidly increasing." He said, "And they're tripling." He said, "So we're going to draw your blood every hour on the hour for the next 48 hours. And that's what they did. And so 2 days later, the nurse came in to get me up to help me walk again because they had to cut me from my rooter to my tutor to fix my intestines, literally. So they literally had me open on the table because if they, like they said, they would have saw the baby. I don't know where he was at. But so as I'm walking around the hospital, she looks at me and she goes, "Did they tell you?" And I said, "What?" And she's like, "You're still pregnant. It's confirmed." And I was like, wow, like God actually gave me my baby back.
So are you know how they always say they got missing books in the Bible? Is one of your books, is the book of Aireka in there? I mean, is that one of the books missing? I think it's a book out there on the line. I'm going to Google it and see if I knew that about the book of Aireka.
I'm going to tell you. Walking in my shoes it has not been fun. It's a blessing. I thank God for every blessing. But you know how they say you get crushed before the big things coming? Okay, I'm tired of being crushed. I'm ready for the big
Well,
things.
the good thing is just, so it got to a point, and we're going to bring it to a close about the fact of, it had to get to a point where you just stopped thinking that you couldn't. And you started to say, "I can." And you stop overthinking, not making bad decisions, not being someone overthinking or thinking good and smart. I'm talking about someone that say, I got to stop overthinking this and actually go towards my dream of being a sought-after entrepreneur, speaker, company worth $500 million and sell it. I mean, when did it get to that point? Because you've been through freaking everything. Not everything. It's sadly, everyone would say, I would say, it's someone that even had it worse than you, which is crazy.
Yeah. I would say in 2017, when I got the idea for Nodat, I decided that I wasn't going to let another idea pass by.
Did you pray for that one too?
Yeah.
Did you? Oh,
Which
well,
one?
we know it's going to happen then.
For Nodat? Did I pray for Nodat?
Yeah, of course you did. Did you say, God, if you do it? I mean, because apparently he hearing what you say.
Yeah.
And you say, hey, if bring my baby back, boom, he here. If you do this, boom. Okay, so now you got to be talking about this business.
When you talk about don't overthinking, I think because I was on oxygen and I had no energy when I prayed that prayer, I was in the perfect state for God to hear me.
Yeah.
So like a lot of times, when we pray, we still have our own control.
Go on with it, preacher.
So we're not in that perfect space to where God can actually answer.
Sometimes you got to be at the broken spot.
Sometimes you have to be at
where you have nothing left.
Yeah.
And I think is what happened with...
And that's happened to me. Like at that point, I was broken down and all I could do was say, okay, God, please give me my baby back. And I just, fell back asleep. And when you'll hear experience or successful entrepreneurs say all the time that sometimes you have to, the breakthrough comes when you're right before you're about to give up, right? Mm-hmm. And I heard one say, you almost have to be in that state of giving up because then you can't fight against, what's happening.
So has it happened with you in your business already? Is that what happened? Something happened. It had to, because you wouldn't be at this point now. I talked to you a year ago,
right.
And you're not the same person a year ago.
I'm not the same person that I was a year ago. Entrepreneurship has definitely grown me into a more mature business owner. Being at the Entrepreneur Center and in the in-flight program has changed my thought processes when I make decisions for my business. Mm-hmm. I would honestly say that I would like for us to be further along than we are at the moment. But I believe that, that's coming along just simply because of how I'm learning to structure the business and grow here in Nashville.
What would you say to somebody that's listening? Believe it or not, it's going to be one or two people actually listening to this. It might go viral, about 300, 200 people. Something. But right. What would you say to someone that's at that point of actually becoming, wanting to be in your shoes, want to be, because everybody see the big person selling at Silicon Valley or Silicon, whatever they call it. They see all that big time, someone that done sold it for $300 million. Mm-hmm. And they think it all was peaches and cream. And they say, if I can just get there, like the lottery winner, if I can just get this money, I'll be straight. And then 2.5 years later, they're broke.
Right.
But what would you say to someone that's either an entrepreneur, or let's start with there, that's wanting to become one?
Entrepreneurship.
A business owner.
Right.
Yeah.
So entrepreneurship is not easy. It is hard as all get out. And so it takes a special kind of person who are willing to forego pride, to forego being comfortable.
It takes some mental capacity for sure.
Yes, it is not an easy thing. So what I say is, first off, don't believe the hype that you see, where you see all of the big wins on social media. Go and research what took to get to that win. One thing that helped me, like I would kind of beat myself up and say, oh, I should be further along than I am because Taco did this or Thumbtack did this in overnight, right? And so
it did not happen.
It did not happen overnight. I was speaking to an investor in New York who said, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. It took Thumbtack 3.5 years to figure out how to get both customers and producers to their platform. Mm. It was not overnight. And he was like, if you just go and look at those companies on TechCrunch, you'll see how long they were around before they actually started to blow up. And so he's like, don't beat yourself up. You're exactly where you are. The fact that you did this as a single mother and gotten this far along is, impressive. And so don't look at what other people are doing on blog articles, on social media. Pay more attention to what it is that you want to do. Learn the problem that you are wanting to solve. Don't just start a business because you think it's cool. Make sure that you are solving somebody's problem, and make sure you understand their pain points. And make sure that it is bigger than you wanting to make money. Mm-hmm. Be passionate about the problem that you're trying to solve. Be passionate about the people that you're trying to solve that problem for. And that is the most important thing, because it is not easy. There are going to be times where you want to give up. There are going to be a lot of times that you want to give up. It has to be bigger than the fact that you want to be a millionaire. I was taking a shower one day, And I was thinking to myself, if I won the lottery, showers. I know it. Isn't it great?
It's a good thing.
So refreshing.
But why would you need to take another one if it's supposed to be permanent, right?
What's supposed to be permanent? A shower?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think so.
So people, like, I was listening to Jim Zig Ziglar. He said that people ask him, hey, what is motivational permanent?
Oh, no.
And he said,
it's not.
He said, neither is bathing.
Right.
I highly encourage that you bathe every day. Same thing with motivation. You need to get it every day.
Every day.
So it's good you actually take a shower because you got to take one every day, right? So go ahead. You was in the shower one day.
I was in the shower. By the way, that's where I do most of my thinking when it comes to that.
I do my thing in the bathroom, on my throne. So hey, you talking about in the shower, I'm going to tell you where I do my thinking at.
Well, so I was thinking, if I won the lottery, would I continue to build Nodat? And the answer was yes, without Would
you tell somebody you won?
Would I? I don't know.
You would?
I'm not sure. It depends on how much.
Your boy Blessed said, I ain't saying nothing. No, but so you got $500 million, you would tell somebody?
My family probably.
They might end up, you're going to be broke. Everybody going to be, look.
I said my family.
I mean, your family. Then your mama going to tell somebody else. My daughter won lottery.
I don't think my mom would do that.
My mom. Yeah, they always say they always say that to their brother or sister say something. But either way,
I don't know.
But if you won a lottery, you'll keep doing Nodat.
I would, just simply because, like for me, I have more than one reason for what's keeping me going with it. For one, it's because it's me saying, okay, I'm actually going to do something with the gifts that God has given me, and I'm just gonna, this is my chance. Even if Nodat doesn't blow up and become this big platform, the growth that I have gotten from this, I know that it'll lead me to where I'm supposed to be. Because, like I said, growing up as a young child, I've always known that there's this big person inside of me that has a cause. It's something that I'm supposed to do. There's a message that I'm supposed to share with the world. This whole entire process is teaching me how and what that message is. And so that's one thing that keeps me going. Other thing is the fact that, I'm doing this for my children too. I want to make sure that they see me work hard with every sacrifice that we make as a family to build this business or, to grow my dream. I want to make sure that I do not fail them and that for one, they see me succeed. And then number two, that they see what it takes to be a successful person.
I'll tell you one thing. This brother Blessing's arm strength is awesome. He been holding that camera for however long we've been going. Yeah, that's a beast.
Like
30 minutes?
Oh.
34 minutes?
Okay.
Yeah, well, we're done anyway.
Yeah.
But either way, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
So look, remember, the true outcome of having a mindset of successful thinking is having an unwavering expectation of successfully achieving a predetermined goal, knowing that the outcome is supposed to happen. And Aireka is definitely doing those things and not overthinking it now for sure.
Yeah.
Because she's been through way too much to be overthinking anything.
Yeah, and I'm already in it, so there's no point in overthinking.
Right.
Nothing.
Well, if you overthink it now, you just sitting back and failing.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you. Hey, y'all, thank y'all for listening, and we'll be back at you next time. Holla.